Holy. This is part 3. But this is very intense clarity. But I suggest you watch part 2 so you can understand this better. Because then it's going to be very, very, very hard to get it. If you think you can understand it without part 2, then that's fine. But anyways, before I show you this thing, right? Let me give you clarity of this 3D heaven. You know how right now what's in front of you is so-called empty, but I can fill in the space, right? But then it won't be in that space anymore. That's because this space right here is where the possibilities of where an object can appear. No? Like this 3D heaven is, it makes all geometrical possibilities, the length, width, and height. So it could be, so anything could exist on this. Like all this 3D stuff. Even another geometrical, because the possibilities of this makes it exist, the geometrical side. No? But at the same time, we have a 4D heaven, the heavens of the 4D, or 4th dimension, and heavens on the 5th dimension, while this whole reality is coexisting with each other. No? So, now you have clarity on that, of those. This is creativity. This is the existence. And then the brain with the little existence out there, like out of the brain. You like the sun with the grass and the trees. Fucking sick. With the little birds type of thing. With the chirping. That's sick. Holy. And then this side is the non-existence. Where, like, nothing is at. And it's not nothing. Nothing means no thing, but this, you can't even comprehend it because it's not there. There's only life and that's it. Everything exists. So, you see this brain right here? If the physical side of the brain that receives higher dimensions like creativity and the 4th dimension, the 5th dimension, right? While this physical brain is possible to be here in the 3D heavens, right? And it has creativity in the 4D heavens, coexisting with each other. If this is the case, then what makes you think that creativity is not outside of the brain? What do you mean it's not outside of the brain? Don't you see everything growing? And like, creativity means growth. There's things growing out there, with the grass, with the sun getting hotter every year. That's the new scientific fact. And then the trees growing. That's not getting created. So isn't there a creator? But this brain is existing in the existence. All this exists. So how can creativity not be out of the brain if creativity is existing? Creativity is existing in the 4D heavens. No? And in the 5D heavens. It's all existing. While emotions control DNA and physical reality. Type of thing. So it's not just in the physical brain. They said emotions control DNA and physical reality. Don't you see that emotions is outside of your body? So isn't that creativity outside of your body? Isn't that why everything is getting created? Holy. You don't see? Existence, creativity, that idea in your brain of creativity, that idea is outside of you, in front of you. Type of thing. But look, it's creativity. No? In the existence. So, this automatic creativity is the possibilities, or what it can do. But the manual has a can and can't. Because the manual has to create, it has self-responsibility of creating. It can create, but the can't is him not creating it. You don't see? But at the same time, the source is, there's only a can. So that means can't is in your reality. No? Because there's only non-existence in your reality. While everything exists, so non-existence exists only because it's in your reality. It's an idea. You don't see? Or not yet. You don't see the clarity. The can't and can in the existence of the brain, with the manual and automatic existing. There's an automatic side of life and then there's a manual side of life. All together. Even the idea of it outside of your brain. That's why your brain's comprehending it. It can't comprehend the non-existence. And remember I said that when you can look in front of you, that you can highlight an object in the side of your eyes without looking at it directly. So let's use that as an example, like highlighting. So you can't highlight a non-existence. You only can highlight the existence. So if you can highlight your thoughts and the idea of it, that means that they exist. Oh, you don't see? That creativity is existing. Everything. The manual exists and then the automatic exists. While your brain's like comprehending it. Then that was planned out for your brain. If it's existing in your brain, then doesn't that mean that it was created for some reason like that? Like it was planned out for it to hold that? Oh, like that's how the brain works, type of thing. But why is this service of the brain including the can't and can, or the manual and automatic, or the non-existence? Why is your brain comprehending all that? Why? So this might tell you how the brain works. You don't see? You don't see your brain is supposed to be intelligent and it's supposed to comprehend things and receive? No? It's supposed to receive. Isn't your brain a receiver for higher dimensions? While in the middle of the Milky Way there's no time. That's the fifth dimension. It's so if there's a black hole in the middle of the Milky Way with no time, then doesn't that tell you a lot about the brain? how it's comprehending it, the existence, or no? Holy, like it tells you a lot. It really does. Because the brain is thinking about all this. It's thinking about it. Wow, everything exists. But even whether you debate it or not, even if the brain debates it or not, it's debating on something that exists. You don't see? That's why it's debating on it. You can't have a debate. You can't have a debate with something that doesn't exist. Oh, you don't like have clarity of that yet? It's only something that exists that the brain can do something with. It's all happening in your brain. Wait, is it happening? Oh, you still don't see yet. But everything that's happening in your brain's happening out too, on a higher dimension. Because your brain's receiving. No? Look, if the brain's physical, and if you cut it open, and if you don't see any mind or anything, or any invisible thing, oh, my bad, not the invisible thing. If you don't see a mind, right, or any emotions, then what is the brain? Because only the invisible thing, the invisible side of the brain, you might not see it, but the invisible is that space in front of you. You don't see? There's something a little fishy about that. Doesn't that tell you that it receives higher dimensions? Like 4D and 5D? No? Or 3D too? It receives 3D, it receives all of it? Or you still don't get it? But if we talk about a substance now, and there's something invisible about the substance that you can't see, what can that be? Down here, within this nature, what is it? It's not just aware. The brain's aware. The brain's, everything's aware. But what is it? What is that thing, that energy behind it? That invisible side of it? Isn't that spiritual? No? Or mental? That's 4D. Now you don't have clarity. The physical brain is receiving the invisible side of it. Within this 3D heaven. In this 3D heaven, this physical brain, right? 3D, while all the dimensions are coexisting. So that means that this so-called space, this so-called empty space, is what the brain's receiving. Holy. It's receiving the invisible side of the brain. But the invisible side of the brain's part of the universe. No? It's not? Isn't the physical brain part of the universe? And the invisible side of it part of the universe? But that invisible side is the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension. But the physical brain's receiving it. Holy. Still don't see that the mind is the fourth dimension. It's receiving the mind. It's not the mind. Because if you cut the brain open, that's not the mind. Then you realize it's not the mind. So that means that mind in the brain, it's the brain receiving that mind. No? Or no? It's like you being aware of your physical body. You know that your awareness is not your physical body, right? Your awareness of life. Your awareness of life is observing the body. Like, you could pretend that this is a camera. Like, this, that this camera that you're looking at right now, like the video, is your awareness. You can make it, see how I'm looking down, like this is my legs, right? Like, the camera pointing at it is the awareness of it. So, pretty much, you're me. Like, you're me. You see how, like, I'm doing this? Doesn't that look like the same view as you looking at your leg? How the camera's looking at down like that? So, that's what pretty much the brain's doing. It's receiving, like, the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension and stuff. Or it can be like this. The mind is doing it to the physical. Like, the mind is observing the physical, but at the same time the brain's doing it too. You don't see it yet? The brain's the receiver. It receives. But the mind knows about the brain. And like, the emotions know. The fifth dimension knows about it. You see how everything's like aware? Holy. Like awareness too? Like you're aware of your brain? You see the different aspects of life? Wait, time out. Look at the different aspects of life for a second. You know how you're aware of your brain, right? You're aware, you're